Hello, everyone. Welcome to Proficy 2024, our annual leadership strategy and product launch webinar series. My name is Alexis Murphy, and I will be your host today. Today, we're going to be talking about how Cimplicity is helping manufacturers reduce installation costs and improve user experience. We have some exciting updates to share, including improved visualization with enhanced HTML5 HMI through Proficy Operations Hub, centralized licensing, improved alarm management and performance, and optimized operations with analytics capabilities. So before we get into the fun stuff, I want to start with a disclaimer. The event today may include forward-looking statements. The information presented is intended to be an outline of general product direction, and it should not be relied on in making a purchasing decision. Now for some housekeeping. You should all see an interface with some interactive windows and buttons at the bottom of your screen. They look like the ones on the right side of the slide here. Please send any questions you have through the orange chat bubble button. Through the purple envelope button, you can contact our team. The blue paperclip button is our most important. It has lots of helpful resources. I'll highlight a few for you all later. Gimmi Filice, a senior product manager here at GE Vernova, will be presenting today. He is an HMI SCADA expert. You can connect with him on LinkedIn through the orange person icon. If you need technical assistance, reach out through the orange question mark button, though most of your issues can be solved by just refreshing your browser. Last, please share your feedback. We have this pink checklist button here where you can send us your challenges and different initiatives. We really use this information to build our products collaboratively with your insight, so we appreciate anything you can send along to us. Today's Cimplicity HMI SCADA event is part of our annual launch series. If you missed our portfolio insider preview, make sure to watch it on demand for a briefing of all our releases. And we hope to see you at our other upcoming events. You can register for them now. Lastly, I want to frame up today's discussion on Cimplicity software by first framing up what we do here at GE Vernova. Our mission is really to accelerate innovation for your business. We want to empower your team and drive your future. That's all possible with Proficy software and services. Our history is built on innovation. It's who we are. With software that can really help you harness industrial data to optimize processes, reduce risk, and give your teams the tools they need to be as productive as possible, all while improving its sustainability and reducing resource utilization. Our software also empowers your teams with the perfect balance of productivity, control, and flexibility. And it's all cloud-enabled, so you can take steps toward more productive operations today and be ready to move to the cloud tomorrow. We're building a community of engaged industrial operations advocates focused on driving a better future for our planet. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Gimmi Filice to take us through the presentation for today.
All right, thanks, Alexis. I'm going to just do a bit of an overview of just some of the highlights of Cimplicity as well as the recent release, and then we'll get into the details of our Cimplicity 2024 release. So starting to look at the Cimplicity HMI SCADA solution, it really is a robust and reliable SCADA solution that we've been enhancing continually, really to provide additional value as we move forward. But really wanted to also look back at, some of the core capabilities that really do make this solution unique. It does have a lot of the capabilities you'd expect as a SCADA solution. And, so things like alarming and things like that. But we also do have capabilities really that are unique and really help our customers solve their toughest automation problems. Things like we do have production tracking for our automotive solutions, helping with, so that's an add-on to Cimplicity that really helps in the assembly process and tracking units through the production. We also have capabilities that are fairly unique, like incident playback. We have our digital graphic replay that really what it lets you do is go back in time and replay your application as it was live. It lets you go back and pause, fast forward, those type of things to really help troubleshoot issues or just really understand what led to an incident. We do support things like cloud infrastructure as a service, so you can run our system in the cloud. And then, even from a development perspective, Cimplicity is model-based. You can use object types or classes, have all the point configuration, the alarming, the graphics all set up in those classes. So it really turns into more of an assembly, especially when you've got large repeatable applications. We do have a lot of extensibility with some of the traditional scripting languages, but we also have added Python support a couple releases ago, which really extend the capabilities of the solution, allow you to communicate with almost anything, and even leverage things like analytics within those scripts. We do leverage a lot of standards like OPC and MQTT as part of our solution, really to help you communicate to all sorts of different devices, whether they're traditional PLCs or even some of the new smart sensors and things like that. And one of the other kind of key things about Cimplicity is it is highly scalable. So it's a very small footprint if you're using it as a small point solution, as a simple HMI, all the way to large enterprise applications with 500,000 tags and things like that. So again, it can really be used across a variety of different applications. And security is always a really big consideration as we develop our software. We do have some standards like ISA 27001 as an example, but we also offer our customers a lot of tools like our secure deployment guide that you can download off of our documentation site as an example to really help guide you in terms of implementing it in a secure manner. As mentioned, Cimplicity is highly scalable. And it really is capable to also be an enterprise level server as well. So Simplicity's got enterprise point capability where it can actually aggregate data from other Cimplicity systems with a simple checkbox that you can enable that allows it to just publish the point up to the enterprise server. As one example, the scalability also really helps us, if you do want to put have that kind of central operations as well, where you've got multiple sites, you want to get a centralized control room or remote operations. Cimplicity can handle that as well. And as mentioned previously, it could also work with cloud-based applications. And the scalability really does help in the regard of just even the IT resources required, whether it's hardware or cloud infrastructure. That's something a lot of our customers have taken advantage of to really help reduce the number of systems they need to maintain, really ultimately helping reduce costs. One of the themes that you'll hear throughout our presentation and really throughout our portfolio as we continue to work towards more and more centralized management tools. And the idea there is the more you can share across systems, whether it's our portfolio or even some existing IT systems that you want to integrate with, really helps the maintainability of the overall SCADA solution as well. So things like common security platforms, being able to actually store configuration centrally and deploy out, which we'll talk a little bit about today as well, or even things like license management. All those things really help. If we can centralize them, it really helps maintain both small and large systems across your enterprise. One other kind of key area that we've got a lot of focus on is our user experience, and really, what we're talking about here is both from the perspective of the experience for whoever is developing or configuring the system, but it's also for operations. So we'll talk a little bit about our web-based or HTML5-based HMI, and really the idea there is to start bringing a new user experience that really helps operators with their job, so they know they've got the right information when they need it. Really what we're trying to do with our tools is provide some of those out-of-the-box type of capabilities or graphics to really help you build a more positive user experience for your operators or plant customers. So with that, one of the things I also wanted to cover is just some recent releases with Cimplicity. Our most recent release is Cimplicity 2023 that released last summer. And that is when we originally introduced the native HTML5 through our Operations Hub HMI. And the idea there is, being able to have a native HTML5 designer as well as a lightweight runtime that can run across different types of devices. So an example would be, you could create web-based displays or assemblies that include HMI as well as other information, make that available through mobile as an example, or tablets, as well as just, anything based on the role that makes sense. So this is something we continue to invest in and really bring forward is that new experience. Our traditional experience with the clients for operations centers and things like that still remain, and we continue to work with that as well. We also, as part of that, added some new capability in the alarm viewer back in the 2023 release, where you could actually have custom attributes and enhanced filtering, really to help make sure that the operators get the alarm information they need that's going to help them resolve issues more quickly. We also had some themes around central configuration. We introduced the concept of Configuration Hub, where you could actually define projects. Also, we've got tools within our Configuration Hub, which is our central management tool for even doing things like configuring the OPC UA, discovering the devices and tags, and helping build your database, automate the building of the database from OPC UA as well. There is also the concept of a model within our Configuration Hub environment. And one of the things we did there is make sure that Cimplicity can, if you do leverage the modeling within Cimplicity, the classes objects I was mentioning earlier, being able to actually integrate with the Operations Hub environment through that model so that you don't have to recreate that. It's just automated for you. So really help speed up development and organization of your data as well. We also introduced some security and availability tools. From a security perspective, I mentioned earlier even things like a common place to actually configure your security across our applications. And it's more than just for across our applications. It's also gives you the ability to do things like multi-domain, multi-factor authentication, have that all centralized so your users are the same across applications. But it also allows you to integrate to other authentication systems you might be using in your IT department, such as OAuth 2 or even just Windows domain integration as well. So again, this is all around trying to help centralize some of that configuration, leverage it across applications, and have better interoperability with your existing IT systems as well. As part of the security, we also added the concept around digital screen signing. So this is essentially the concept of having a signature on developed screens, so that if somebody were to somehow get a hold of a screen file and was curious and wanted to open in the application, it would actually prevent you from opening that screen if it wasn't digitally signed. So again, this is something you can enable if you want that extra level of security within your system and prevent malicious content from being opened, as an example. As mentioned, we also added the custom alarm attributes. The concept here is being able to actually put additional context on the alarms. And this is completely open in terms of what it can be used for. You could use it for areas, being able to just basically provide additional methods of sorting and filtering your alarms for operations, just to help them, again, get to the alarms they need to see more quickly and easily. And another big enhancement that we did add last year was MQTT support. So we added support for MQTT version 5. And ultimately, we also do support payloads around, various payloads that can be extracted then into tags that show up in Cimplicity, and support things like JSON and Sparkplug B as part of that as well. So again, this was a pretty significant release we had last year. And again, of course, we continue to enhance and add new capability. And we will be releasing Cimplicity 2024 in May as well. So really high level overview, and we'll get into some of the details. We continue our HTML5 enhancements as well as part of our, as mentioned, we introduced that last year with Cimplicity. This continue the HTML5 HMI continues to be enhanced with, and I'll go through some details of what we've added since the last release. Security and uptime continues to be important for our customers. What we've done is a couple enhancements here around handling updates of the projects on servers. So we essentially eliminated the need for some IT resources and create a new method of actually doing remote operations on the server through a more secure mechanism. And we've added some capability around really keeping your projects updated without having any downtime. So I'll get into a bit more detail on that one as well. One other area that we've centralized is our licensing management. So anybody who's used our licensing in the past, you do have to, activate licenses on your clients and servers, obviously, to get them to run. What we've added is some capability to actually manage that from a central location. So you can actually see your licenses that you've got and actually allocate them or deploy them out to the various viewers and servers through that centralized application as well. And then we've done some things around our libraries. If you are using a lot of our classes and objects, being able to have a library that can cut across different objects, that you can leverage to, again, just really help with that repeatable application development. In terms of scalability and performance, we've had several enhancements that really to help improve the startup time of the server, to responsiveness of the viewer in different situations, especially as you get into larger systems. And one thing that we have also made some significant enhancements to, Cimplicity is a process-based multi-threaded application. What we're actually now allowing you to do, if you do have larger applications that do have a lot of events with scripts that run, we now actually allow you to have multiple event managers, meaning rather than everything being in one process, you can have multiple processes you can enable to really, again, increase that scale as you start getting into those larger applications. So this is really to provide horizontal scalability and really handle those big complex applications with lots of decisions in them, like some of the large automotive applications as an example. And something we're also introducing with the 2024 release is, the world is starting to look at AI to help automate a lot of things. So we will be introducing some new capabilities from an AI perspective around things like alarm pattern recognition, PID loop tuning, and even things like monitoring sensors to look for potential issues before they become a problem. So I'll dip into that a little bit as well. But that is, a high-level overview of the new capabilities we have added to Cimplicity 2024. So stepping into the visualization part, we've obviously I talked a fair amount already about our HTML5 based visualization. This is based off of our Proficy Operations Hub. We do have an HMI version of the Operations Hub. And really what Operations Hub is about is it's essentially a rapid application development tool to build web applications. And it allows you to take many sources of data, including obviously our Cimplicity product, Historian, our MES solutions, and really as well as other standardized interfaces like OPC UA, MQTT, REST calls, SQL database connectivity. But the idea behind it is that, hey, we can take all these different data sources and give you some rapid development tools to build out HTML5 based applications quickly and easily. And again, what we've done here is developed some tools specific to HMI. So these tools, we do also provide some, with Operations Hub, we do also provide several out-of-the-box applications for things like historical analysis on top of your historian data. You can create dashboards. We've got some templates for things like even our AI solutions, or our that, where that would be ultimately where you'd see the results of a lot of that. So Operations Hub is really our visualization platform across our portfolio. And then specific to the Cimplicity solution, there's also some capabilities around HMI development as well. So we did introduce the ability to create those HTML5 based HMI screens last release, and we've continued to enhance these. So we start off with, we do now have the availability of Operations Hub even through the marketplace in AWS, as it is also available as a cloud application, as well as, obviously to run on site as well. We've also enhanced it with high availability options. So since this is ultimately running off a web server, we want to make sure that in a more highly available solution, in addition to obviously having the SCADA server be highly available, you want to make sure your clients are available as well as part of that. We've also made some enhancements around, just the visualization and how it scales as you change different resolutions, making sure that we can keep the aspect ratio consistent, but keep the graphics looking good regardless of the size of your screen. Added some capabilities around click zones, so that you can automate things like navigations and other actions through these click zones as well. So again, I'm not going to go into super detail on this. I do urge you, if there's more interest, we do have our Operations Hub webinar that you'll have access to as well, that goes into these in a lot more detail. But again, as part of Cimplicity, visualization is obviously important. This provides, another value-added way of visualizing your HMI screens. And again, this is all native HTML5. We do have several out-of-the-box widgets. And I mentioned some of the other capabilities around building things like dashboards and stuff. The real power now becomes when you start being able to combine all these different types of visual aspects. So, providing the operator with more context, whether it's something coming from our AI tools or from, trend, more richer trend analysis from a historian, or just getting other information from other systems you might have, like, through some of those SQL or REST interfaces. You might have other systems like a maintenance system. If you want to provide the maintenance status on a particular equipment, you can do that by getting information, not just from Cimplicity, but really enhancing it with other data sources as well. One other thing I talked a little bit about was, the ability to really update projects at scale, larger scale project changes without downtime. And what we've added is this ability, leveraging our robust redundancy capability. So Cimplicity does provide host redundancy with an active and a standby, where if there's an issue detected on the active server, it'll fail over to a backup server. All the clients will just continue to operate as normal during that situation. With that, we've added this new capability that, ultimately leverages that redundancy capability to allow you to do large scale changes. So the idea here is, and I kind of mentioned, we also added some capability around doing some of these remote actions, like being able to start and stop servers remotely. A lot of these were done with security in mind, because ultimately you're probably going to do this from somewhere other than the server. You want to be able to start and stop or initiate the update action through those remotely as well. So we've added some security enhancements based on that. And then really the idea is to allow those those bulk changes while the system is running and your plant continues to operate. And really what that leads to is reduced downtime, or, as I know some of our customers that we've been working with on this, it's even just being able to add a lot of plants will only do updates during shutdown times and things like that. So what this ultimately allows you to do is deliver new content to your customers in the plant, the operators as an example, without having to wait until the next downtime cycle, that, planned downtime as an example. And kind of getting into how it actually works, it's a completely automated system. You're just going to say, hey, I want to update this redundant pair with this new project. And I will go through all the details, but in short, what it's going to do is it's going to stop the primary. The secondary is going to start running and continuing to serve all the clients. It's going to take the new project files and update them. It'll then resume. It'll actually then stop the secondary and start running back on the primary, and then ultimately synchronize the configuration changes back to the secondary. So now you've got an updated system essentially. So this is all automated for you. This sort of steps through the sequence, but really, the goal here is I just say, hey, I need to update this project that's running on this system, and it'll go through the sequence of steps to take the new project updates for you automatically. So again, hopefully this is something that really helps. I know, like I mentioned, it helps with delivering new content, more easily to all the customers in a plant, and obviously being able to do it without any significant downtime as well. One other area that, in terms of managing things centrally that we focused on is around license management. I talked a little bit about this before. It's one of those necessary things, but really what we're trying to do is help simplify and centralize it for you. And ultimately what we've done is we've created a new web-based application in our configuration hub tools that allows you to see all the licenses that you've got available. It lets you see what license have been allocated to which viewers or servers, and ultimately lets you add or revoke those licenses as needed as well. So again, the idea here is, centralize it so that you can manage it from a central location. You don't have to go out to the nodes to do that license activation anymore. You can do it from a central location. You can allocate as needed and revoke as needed. And there's also a capability for reserving licenses as well, so that that you've got those nodes that ultimately you want to make sure always have a license available. You can also do that. So again, this will be something that'll be coming as part of the release for Cimplicity, but actually if you're using any of our other products, it'll start to be available for all the products as well. And then one of the other things I mentioned in the overview, obviously we're looking at how do we leverage artificial intelligence or even some machine learning tools. So the concept here is, how do we, start making or providing more advisory to the SCADA? And really the idea here is, are there early indicators or tools that are going to help you manage and maintain your system, maintain uptime, prevent downtime, all those type of things? Those are some of the concepts that really come out of, starting to add analytics to your SCADA solution. The idea here is we will be providing a starter version of our CSense tools. So CSense is our tool that allows you to build out some of these capabilities. And what we're doing is providing some templates for some applications that you can start to leverage. And, things like alarm pattern recognition. The concept here is, can I start determining what alarms are actually happening at the same time? Meaning, hey, when this alarm occurs, these other three things always happen. Start being able to pick up those patterns so that really it'll help you start to look at things like root cause alarms, or even, just help rationalize your alarm system by, figuring out a way to only make sure the alarms that matter start to show up for the operators. We've got another template around sensor health, and the idea behind this one is, can I monitor some tags, some analog tags that are tied to sensors to look for potential unhealthy situations? Things like, is there flatlining that's happening where this sensor hasn't changed, or is it actually a value that's outside the serviceable range of the sensor? Those are all potentially indicators that there's something wrong with that sensor, and hopefully helps you resolve any issues before they become an impact on your operations. And one of the just a few key highlights on our CSense product that really is the enabler. The idea here is that it does let you do some analysis on data, monitor data to provide early warnings of potential upcoming problems, and ultimately start doing more predictive analysis or forecasting on not just the things I mentioned, but even just on any of the data that you might be collecting from your process. But the idea behind this solution is ultimately that, by really integrating it with our SCADA solution, we can start looking at some more SCADA specific use cases like the ones I described, and start providing those to you guys out of the box as well. So an example here is, this is an example of the alarm pattern recognition, which then ultimately kind of shows you, the frequency of various alarms and how often they alarm together. So various alarms that may be occurring within the system. You could see kind of some of the ones in this example where they are occurring in higher frequency. So obviously there's a correlation there that can be investigated. And then I mentioned things like the sensor health. The idea here is, let me monitor that data. Because ultimately, if the data is bad, you're probably not controlling your process correctly either. If the data that you're relying on is not reliable, so the idea here is, let's detect those anomalies. Like I mentioned, things like flatlining, out of range values, things that are deviating from the norm more than usual. A lot of the tools here really will help you. It'll give you an early warning. It may or may not be an issue, but if you do does detect the anomaly, you can investigate the issue, and maybe it is a bad sensor that needs replacing or cleaning or something as well. And this is just sort of an indicator, a visual indicator of what this looks like from a analysis perspective, where it'll actually find those out of range values and that type of thing. So again, it will actually even auto learn typical limits. So if it's going out of those ranges, again, it could be operating properly, but it may not be also. So again, one of the things I wanted to also highlight here is, I know I kind of covered this part fairly quickly, but we will have the upcoming webinar on CSense where one of my colleagues will go through this section in a lot more detail as well. So please look out for that webinar and attend that one if there's interest in learning a little bit more about that. Okay, I think I stop here.